Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine Quijano. Thank you for joining us. Tonight's sixth Democratic presidential debate saw the smallest number of candidates take the debate stage, but some of the biggest fights between candidates. 7 presidential hopefuls took the stage in Los Angeles just one day after the House of Representatives voted to impeach President Trump. That was the first topic of the night. While some wanted to focus less on the process of impeachment, they all slammed President Trump's actions. The candidates also took on topics that have become familiar in the Democratic race, like climate change, immigration, Middle East peace, and debates over increasing taxes on the wealthy. And while there were a number of issues they appeared to agree on, there were also sharp criticisms among candidates over fundraising and donors, so-called purity tests. Here's some of the key moments of the night.
If the president claims that he is so innocent, then why doesn't he have all the president's men testify?
The court that counts here is the court of public opinion. The American people deserve to see the truth.
Stop being obsessed over impeachment, which unfortunately strikes many Americans like a ball game where you know what the score is going to be, and start actually digging in and solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place.
How do you answer top economists who say taxes of this magnitude would stifle growth and investment?
Oh, they're just wrong.
Senator, with all respect, this question is about race. Can you answer the question as it was asked?
People of color, in fact, are going to be the people suffering most if we do not deal with climate change.
No, I'm not willing to commit one way or another. Here's the deal. I'm not even elected one term yet, and let's see where we are. Let's see what happens.
Senator Warren, you would be the oldest president ever inaugurated. I'd like you to weigh in as well.
I'd also be the youngest woman ever inaugurated.
We have to stop confusing economic value and human value. We have to be able to say to our kids and Kyle that you have intrinsic value because you're an American and you're a human being.
Billionaires in wine caves should not pick the next president of the United States.
Senator, your net worth is 100 times mine.
Get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's why we're who we are. That's what makes us different.
If you want to talk about the capacity to win, try putting together a coalition to bring you back to office with 80% of the vote as a gay dude in Mike Pence's Indiana.
Trump thinks mistakenly that he is going to win re-election by dividing us up. We are going to win this election by bringing our people together, Black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American. That's what America must be about.
Let's go to the spin room now, where our CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns is standing by. All right, Caitlin, so there was a lot of territory covered tonight. What stood out to you?
Yeah, Elaine, I wish that they were handing out popcorn as snacks tonight. They didn't, but I really wanted some during this exchange between Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg. We knew that Pete Buttigieg was going to have a target on his back tonight. He's been gaining ground, especially in Iowa, and a lot of his fellow contenders felt the need to go after him. But look, we're just a few weeks away, really, from voters weighing in Iowa, and Amy Klobuchar is one of those candidates that has been trying to gain some momentum there, and you saw her take those direct shots at Pete Buttigieg and try to, appeal as a more moderate force in this party, that he's not the only one, and appeal to a place like Iowa. You also saw some tense exchanges between Elizabeth Warren and Pete Buttigieg. They have been at each other for the past few weeks now, and we saw a shift from Elizabeth Warren. On the debate stages in the past, she hasn't gone after her rivals. She's tried to kind of remain above the fray, but you saw her evoke that wine cave fundraiser. And I think that was a significant movement on her part. But Pete Buttigieg kind of knew that this debate would really focus on him, and he seemed prepared for a lot of those attacks. And I think these kinds of moments help to benefit someone like Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, who have been letting their close competitors kind of duke it out amongst each other and continue to just focus on their own campaigns.
So, Caitlin, was this a make-or-break event for any of the candidates on that stage tonight?
well, there were fewer candidates than we've seen before, even though 7 is still a lot. But we saw them really engage in actual debate. I think the questions from the moderators were different than we've seen in past debates and kind of challenged them to think about things a little bit differently. I think someone like Amy Klobuchar had a really good night tonight because she did kind of what she came here to do, which is establish herself as a real player in this primary field. And this is when, these candidates know it's really crunch time. The holiday is coming up. They know that some of them, Amy Klobuchar included, are going to have to spend much of January back in Washington dealing with impeachment proceedings. And so this was a chance for her especially to kind of establish some footing here. I also think Andrew Yang also gained some ground in this debate as well, and kind of, you can see why he's been attracting a lot of support in this race.
All right, Caitlin Huey-Burns first. Caitlin, thank you very much. I want to bring in my panel here on set, Leslie Sanchez, Molly Hooper, and Antjuan Seawright. Leslie is a CBS News political contributor and Republican strategist. Antjuan is a CBS News political contributor and Democratic strategist. And Molly is a CBSN political contributor. Welcome to you all. All right, so let's talk impeachment. Let's go ahead, before we get into the discussion, listen to Mayor Pete Buttigieg's assessment of this.
Here's the good news. It's up to us. No matter what happens in the Senate, it is up to us in 2020. This is our chance to refuse to be taken in by the helplessness, to refuse and reject the cynicism. That is what this presidential election is about. It is what my campaign is about. Our opportunity in 2020, no matter what happens in Washington, as a country, to change the course of this nation for the better.
So, Antjuan, how else did we hear Democrats navigate this topic of impeachment on the stage?
I think Andrew Yang probably had the best answer when it came to impeachment, when he said people treat it like a sports game.
Do we have that sound, by the way, SOT 6, I believe it is, control room? If we do, we should play it.
Yeah, we should.
Because then we can talk about it, because he took a decidedly sort of different tack, I think, maybe perhaps than others might have expected, right?
I think he took the right approach, because at the end of the day, I don't think anyone's going to show up to a primary or a caucus at any point next year voting for either one of these candidates based on how they feel about impeachment, because I think the die has been cast.
So let's go ahead and listen. I'm going to pause you right there for just a moment, but this is what Andrew Yang said very early on about the topic of impeachment.
But Americans around the country know different. We blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were primarily based in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri. I just left Iowa. We blasted 40,000 manufacturing jobs there. The more we act like Donald Trump is the cause of all of our problems, the more Americans lose trust that we can actually see what's going on in our communities and solve those problems. What we have to do is we have to stop being obsessed over impeachment, which unfortunately strikes many Americans like a ball game where you know what the score is going to be, and start actually digging in and solving the problems that got Donald Trump elected in the first place. We have to take every opportunity to present a new positive vision for the country, a new way forward to help beat him in 2020, because make no mistake, he'll be there at the ballot box for us to defeat.
All right, so Antjuan, from your perspective as a Democratic strategist, that seems to be a thing that will resonate with people.
I think so, because again, impeachment doesn't keep people up at night, and it doesn't keep people sweating during the day when they're at work because they can't figure out how to solve last night's problems. But I think he did a great job. He did the old Mike Tyson jab and go. He jabbed at impeachment, and he went on to talk about the things that do keep people up at night, and that's jobs, quality of life things. And I think that's what people are focused on. Those are the things that most people agree in my party that the Republicans have failed the country on, i.e. the leader of the free world. And I think he did a great job of talking about the things that matter. And we've got to get back into the business of talking about the things that matter and not just talking about the failures of Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
So President Trump was weighing in on Twitter about impeachment. During the debate, he tweeted about the potential delay of a Senate trial, claiming it's because Democrats don't want the whistleblower or the Bidens to testify. So did anyone have strong enough messaging to compete with the president's strategy tonight? What's your take on that, Leslie?
compete in the terms of like who's getting the most play, kind of most response?
Right. Because, the president obviously has the biggest megaphone via his Twitter account especially.
It's kind of like what we talked about earlier in the night, two different strategies, right? In one sense, the president's going to talk about what his accolades, his strong attributes, the historically low unemployment, especially for communities of color, high economic numbers, especially in those swing states and kind of on the country, the sentiment of the country overall, and even his higher approval rating, which is kind of shocking in comparison. Then there's the issue of impeachment, which is that galvanizing issue. So he's going to stay on message. It's kind of like that two-step process. It's a Texas two-step, as I would call it. Like he's just moving along. I'm hanging around Antjuan
I know.
so long that now I bring. Now it's my
your Texan
roots is coming out.
Yeah.
But that's what you would expect with him. I think the interesting part about Andrew Yang, he said it was the elephant in the room. You can't keep talking about impeachment because we kind of know the answer already. It's preordained. It's like inevitable, which is what Republicans have been saying, that it wasn't a fair process. By virtue of saying that we already know what the outcome is, he can make the case on the right and the left. They're saying that we know what Republicans are going to do. I take it as we know what Democrats are going to do. It's never fair.
I just thought that Biden actually had a pretty good answer when asked what I would think is a very important question, especially covering Capitol Hill. What's going to happen afterwards? What about the aftermath of this? Will this polarization come back to some moderation? Will that happen? And Biden's like, listen, if anybody up here has the right to be upset about this, it's me, because he has brought my name into this, my son's name into this, and he's like, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got to be the bigger party, and you just have to move forward, essentially. And I don't have the exact quote here, but essentially get over it and move on for the best of the country.
I think the vice president did a great job of turning some tragedy into triumph for him. You asked Leslie the question about the messaging that could compete with Donald Trump. I think Joe Biden was singing the right hymn when he talked about how the economy is working for some, but it's not working for others. And he specifically pointed to middle-class working families, who arguably is a constituency that Donald Trump was able to snatch from Democrats in the 2016 election, but that has not worked out so well for them. That's why we were able to chip away at that constituency in 18. And Biden understands for us to be successful in 20, we have to communicate the issues and the failures of the president and talk about what we can do to bring them back in. And he did that. So he did that. He also, I think, did a great job of talking about how most of the country wants a leader who can bring this country back together, to your point. And what better person is known on that debate stage other than Amy Klobuchar would be Joe Biden, that people respect on both sides of the aisle.
All right, Leslie, Antjuan, Molly, thank you so much.